Mahindra, a widely read columnist of our country and former member of the Rajya Sabha. Today, we would like to request Mr. Punj to share insights with us on several questions that we have relating to our identity and history.
Thank you, Isha, and thank you, Prakash, and thank you, Anu, and thank you very much, all the friends from Noida, my neighbors, they are my extended family, and I'm really grateful to this young crowd of Tech Mahindra who have found time and showed interest in this entire program. Thank you very much. Today's topic is somewhere represent the confusion, and the confusion is we know and we don't know, and that confusion got a nomenclature when Mr. Harsh Swain contacted me. Mr. Gurnani has told me, and we want you to come and talk, and what is the title of the talk? I thought to myself, and it came to my mind, who are we? And when I suggested the topic, I laughed to myself. We are a country of 140 crores. We are the fifth largest economy. And still we have to ask ourselves, who are we? मैं अपने आप से बात करने का तरीका ढूंढ रहा हूं, दूसरों से बात करना तो सबको आता है. I'm trying to talk to myself. When was India born? Was it born on August 15, 1947, or did it exist before that? And this became relevant because a politician in making who has been launched 10 times over in the last 25 years, young man at 54, he said that India is not a nation, it is a union of states. Then before that, during the Gujarat election, he went to 3 constituencies in Gujarat. All the 3 were tribal, and in which he made a statement in which he said, मेरी दादी मेरे को बताती थी कि ट्राइबल इस मुल्क के असली मालिक हैं, आप असली मालिक हो, बाकी लोग तो आपके जंगल, जमीन और जल के ऊपर नजर गड़ा के बैठे. इफ दे आर द रियल मालिक, हम लोग कौन है, आप कौन है? If India was born in 1947, then how come the English people, they established a company called East India Company in 1600, or which is the country which Columbus was chasing, and in 1492, he was obviously looking for India and landed in America. This propaganda that India didn't exist before 1947, this has very devious implications. And to say that it's a union of states, it also has very devious implications, because virtually you want to dismember the country. And this was the argument which the Muslim League had used in 1947 and the communists, saying that India is not a country, it is a country which has been aggregated by putting up 15, 16, 17 states together, and each state has a right to secede. And that was the logic paradigm on which the Pakistan was created. To say that India is a union of states and there is nothing like India, I ask a simple question. Center is creating the states or states are creating the center? Jammu and Kashmir was a state till very recently. Center divided into 2 union territories, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. There is no state like Jammu and Kashmir. Where was Haryana? Chhattisgarh. The whole lot of Jharkhand. These were the states which have been created by the center. So the center can create states, and it is not the other way around. To say that India was created in 1947, I've got a quote. And quote is from Mark Twain, the American writer. Here is the quote: Varanasi is older than history, older than tradition, older even than legend, looks twice as old as all of them put together. This is what Mark Twain said about Varanasi. What applies to Varanasi also applies to rest of India. We are known by four identities. Most of them, about 80% of us, are known as Hindus. Then we are known as Indians. We are known as Hindustanis, and we are all known as Bharatiyas also. Interestingly, Indian and Hindu, they are synonymous. Why? Because this name is given to us not by us, but by foreigners. When the Arabs came, the biggest geographical landmark they saw from the west was Sindhu River. Sindhu River's bed was some places 5 kilometers wide, some places 10 kilometers wide. This is how it has been described. And they couldn't pronounce the word S. So they called Sindhu as Hindu. Just pronunciation. And people living beyond Sindhu were called Hindus. It is a name which is given by them. And when Alexander the Great came and Greeks came, then he too had a pronunciation problem. We are not the only ordinary people who have pronunciation problem. Even Alexander the Great had. And he could not pronounce the word Sindhu. So he called Sindhu as Indus, Indus Bank. And from Indus it became India. And from India we became Indians. So the origin of Hindu and Indians is a common, that is the Sindhu River. And Bharatiya is the most ancient name we have. In Rig Veda, which is one of the oldest books of history in the world, there is a tribe mentioned as Bharatiyas. Bharat, he was an ancestor to Pandavas by many generations. Many of you may have read the story of Shakuntala. Their son's name, Dushyant, and Shakuntala's name was Bharat. And he is supposed to have joined the country right from what is now known as Afghanistan to Kanyakumari. And this entire landmass was known as Bharatvarsha. Now, India is a one nation. It is not a recent construct. There are a number of Puranas. Vishnu Puran, Vayu Puran, then Kularnava, Tantra. Then, of course, there is another Tantra, then Bhavishyat Purana. All these Puranas, I am not going to read all of them. I leave it to your this thing. They are here, where, and most of the Puranas are 2000 plus old. So started from Rig Veda, where there is a tribe called Bharatiyas, and then of course all these Puranas, which are at least 2000 years old, they define what Bharat is, and they normally define, they give the geographical confines also, from Himalaya right up to the sea, from Afghanistan side right up to the east. They describe this in detail, and who are these people who live there? They are called Bharatiyas. Ramayana is supposed to be 10,000, 20,000 years old. Ram is born in Ayodhya. He traveled throughout the country, right goes up to Sri Lanka. One country. Krishna is born in Mathura, settled in Dwarka in east. And when Mahabharata war happens, you have warriors coming right from Kandahar, in what is now in Afghanistan, down to deep south. So the unity of the country is established repeatedly in all stages of our history. Babur attacked India in 1519. And there was mayhem, destruction, bloodbath. Guru Nanak Dev went there to an area called Khurasan. And there is a very popular shabd by him, which is called Eti maar pai karlane teku dard na aaya. We were beaten up so badly, but God, it's a complaint to God. that you didn't worry about us, you didn't care about us. खुरासान खमसीना किया, हिंदुस्तान डराया. Not Punjab, not Khurasan, not North India. Guru Nanak Dev Ji talks about Hindustan. These days people talk about Khalistan. I laugh at it. Because those who talk about it, they don't know anything about it. Khalistan word comes from where? It comes from Khalsa. And Khalsa comes from where? Baisakhi wale din, Guru Gobind Singh Ji called people to come and sacrifice their lives for dharma. And 5 people volunteered. And they were called Khalsa, Panj Pyare. They were called Panj Pyare. And who are these Panj Pyaras? Daya Singh, Sialkot, Punjab. Dharam Singh, Hastinapur, Uttar Pradesh. Then Himmat Singh. ये सिंह तो बाद में लगाया सबके. हिम्मत सिंह, he is from Odisha. मोहकम सिंह, द्वारका, गुजरात, एक्सट्रीम वेस्ट. और साहिब बिदर, कर्नाटका साउथ से. जो 5 प्यारे आए वो कोई पंजाब के 12 जिलों से नहीं आए. गुरु नानक देव का जन्म तो हुआ कहाँ? जो पाकिस्तान में चला गया, ननकाना साहब. और लास्ट गुरु गोविंद सिंह का जन्म कहाँ हुआ? पटना, बिहार में. ही सेट सकल जगत में खालसा पंथ गाजे. सकल जगत में खालसा प्योर पंथ गाजे. जगे धर्म हिंदू, जगे धर्म हिंदू, तुर्क दुंद भाजे. जो फॉरेनर जब वो चले जाए और हमारा समाज जो है वो जागे. और ऐसा नहीं कि इट इज नॉट दैट ज्योग्राफिकली वी वर नॉट वन. देयर आर चोलास, पांड्यास, मौर्यास. मौर्यास वर 200 to 300 years before Christ. It was a one big empire. You look at the edicts, they mention all these dynasties in detail and throughout the country. And country means right from Afghanistan to Kanyakumari. When CHHATRAPATI SHIVAJI was coronated as a king, you look at that ceremony. He was given a bath in water which was specially brought from 7 rivers from throughout the country. Jamuna, Sindhu, Ganga, Godavari, Narmada, Krishna and Kaveri. He was a king of a small principality at that time. And it was the function was held in Raigad Fort in Maharashtra. But the water had to be drawn from all the rivers, important rivers of the country. And look at Maharaja Ranjit Singh. He was a king of Punjab. But when he was dying in 1839, what was his last wish? His most precious possession was the Kohinoor diamond, which is there in England now. He wanted it to be gifted to Jagannath Puri. We all know that Kashi Vishwanath was demolished of the orders of Aurangzeb in 1669, and Ahilyabai Holkar got it rebuilt at 1777, that is 108 years later. And in 1835, 4 years before his death, Maharaja Ranjit Singh donated 22 mounds of gold, 1 ton of gold, so that its roof can be gold plated. You look at, we had a war manual, and where here is a photograph about the opening page of the military manual of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. It had a Om with Vishnu, Lakshmi, Brahma and Shiva. This is the photograph which you can see. Now this is the sort of a culture, inclusive culture, which we had inherited. And this got represented in our constitution also. Now do we know that the constitution which we adopted, it was not a printed copy. It was not a printed copy. It was a copy which was handwritten, calligraphed by Prem Bihari Narayan Rai Zada of Delhi. It is in calligraphy, And there was an artwork done by Nandal Bose of Shanti Niketan team. And the artworks, which is a part of the constitution, it is not only the written word, the visuals which are there, Mohenjo-daro, Lord Rama, Sita Mata, Lakshman, Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shiva, then of course the Indian system, Gurukul system of education, then court of Vikramaditya, then Nanda period, Mahajanapada, which was the democracy at the roots, and Maurya period, Gupta period, Shivaji, Guru Gobind Singh, Rani Lakshmi Bhai Jhansi, Gandhiji and Subhash Bose. What does the depiction of all these things, all these pictures mean? It means that they were the source of inspiration for the existence of this country. It is just not the written word, what had been painted, given graphically. Do we discuss about tolerance and intolerance? There are people who return their awards. We are not in a tolerant society. That is a concept which I will come later. Fact is that we have accepted people as they are. You know, where was the first mosque outside Saudi Arabia during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad built? It was built in India. It was built in 629. Prophet Muhammad passed away 3-4 years later, and it was built by King Cheraman Perumal in Thrissur district of Kerala. The mosque is still functioning. And when Prime Minister Modi went to Saudi Arabia, he carried a model of that mosque to Saudi Arabia. The problem arose when in 712, Muhammad bin Qasim attacked it. And Sindh, he attacked Sindh, pulverized the temples, forced people to convert. So another version of Islam came, and that introduced an element of intolerance in the Indian society for the first time. Syrian Christians came to India in year 69. You know why did they come? They came from Syria to escape persecution from the Pope's army. They were local Christians following local version of Christianity, and they were living in Syria. And Pope's army was coming. These people anticipated persecution at their hands. And where would they come? They came all the way to India and Kerala. And their apprehensions were not misplaced, because in 1542, when Saint Xavier attacked Goa, and when he realized that there were already Christians living, but they were not following the Vatican, so he attacked Kerala and the churches over there, who were the Syrian Christians. And this is how Ambedkar had described. The Inquisitor of Goa discovered that they were heretics, and like a wolf on the fold, down came the delegates of the Pope upon the Syrian churches. When I said that we are not a tolerant society, we are not a tolerant society. Why I say it? What is tolerance? Tolerance is a negative concept. Tolerance means I don't like your face, but I am controlling myself and I am tolerating you. We accept people as they are. We don't have to sort of adjust ourselves or to compromise ourselves. We accept people as they are. In one family, you could have somebody going to Hanuman temple. You could have another brother going to Shiva temple. You could have another brother who doesn't believe in any god. And yet there could be another brother, and I've seen such families, who goes to a Gurdwara. They don't tolerate each other. They accept each other as they are. That is the essence of Indian civilization. In every other civilization, if you are not like them or with them, then you are surely their natural enemies. And this is why when the white man went to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America, they decimated the local cultures. You should read what Columbus wrote, how they decimated, because people were not like them. And this found its manifestation, this mindset, in the United Nations also. In 1951, this is a very long subject, a subject by itself, but I will just give here two quotes which will be displayed here. In 1951, the UN said all local cultures have to be destroyed if the humanity has to come up. Everybody has to be like this. I remember somebody saying, coming to India and saying, कि हिंदुस्तान में आप किसी गांव में चले जाए, आपको पानी मिले ना मिले, कोका कोला जरूर मिलेगा. Everybody in the world, if you have to be civilized, you must drink Coca Cola. So one size fits all. And then in 2008, almost 58 years later, they got wise. They reversed, they took a U-turn, and they said, we were wrong at that point of time. And they said that every society must develop as per their own culture, only then we can develop. We were one civilization with different levels of development. There were Nagarvasis, there were Gramvasis, and there were Vanvasis. They all belong to one civilization. आप बताइए वेद और शास्त्र जो वो कहाँ लिखे गए? By the rishis in the forest. They were the centers of scholarship. राम, लक्ष्मण, शत्रुघ्न, भरत पढ़ने के लिए कहाँ गए थे? जंगल में. आजकल स्टैनफोर्ड जाते हैं, ऑक्सफोर्ड जाते हैं, कैम्ब्रिज जाते हैं. उन दिनों में बिकॉज द फॉरेस्ट प्रोवाइडेड द राइट एम्बियंस फॉर स्टडीज, सो देयरफॉर दे वर नॉट अंडरडेवलप्ड, uneducated, illiterate people. They were the centers of excellence. Bhagwan Krishna, Balram went to a forest to study under Sandipani, Rishi Sandipani. Swami Vivekananda, Gandhi ji, even Pandit Nehru realized that the British were trying to play mischief. Here, one by Gandhi ji, which he wrote in Hind Swaraj in 1909. The English have taught us that we were not one nation before, that it will require centuries before we become one nation. This is what the British said, and Gandhiji is quoting them. Then Gandhiji says, we Indians are one as no two Englishmen are. In 1909, because Gandhiji could see that mischief, now people do ask कि भाई आप इमोशनली एक थे, हर तरह से एक थे. दिस इज व्हाट योर क्लेम इज. आपके पुराण ये कहते हैं, ऋग्वेद में ये कहा है. हाउ कम इंडिया वाज नॉट ए वन कंट्री एज सच? देयर हैव बीन टाइम्स फ्रॉम विक्रमादित्य टू अकबर वेयर इंडिया वाज वन कंट्री. बट दिस इज आल्सो अ फैक्ट दैट वी वर डिवाइडेड इनटू हंड्रेड्स ऑफ प्रिंसिपैलिटीज, एंड व्हेन द ब्रिटिश केम वी वर ए ह्यूज tapestry of maybe 1000 principalities, and we were not one country. But there is nothing peculiar to India. Most of the world, they were nothing like nation states at that point of time. And I shall share with you what was the reason. Germany became one in 1871, and before that it was split into 39 principalities, and they were brought together by Bismarck. Italy, it had a countless number of kingdoms, duchies, city-states, and it was brought together in 1861. France, up to 1789, it was divided into hundreds of parts, and it is only after 1789 that it became one country. And you know why these countries becoming one countries in the last 200 years only? Because earlier it was very difficult for a central authority to keep the large area as one entity, because there was no communication and there was no transportation. The change came when the railways became a reality in 1825 and telegram became a reality in 1830. We all know that 1857 English call it mutiny, we called it at first war of freedom. Why did it fail? People have analyzed, put various reasons. It basically failed because of three people. And these three people's names are Charles Todd, Brandish, and Pilkington. Who are these three people? Innocuous people, small people. But because of them, 1857 failed. There used to be a telegraph office in Daryaganj in Delhi. They were the three people, only three people in entire Delhi who were running a telegraph office. So when the mutiny happened, or the first war of independence started, they got to know about it. And before they were killed and the telegraph office was burnt, they managed to send messages to all important centers, Calcutta, Lahore and everywhere. And as a result, the British got warned of the impending danger and they were able to take the necessary precautions. So this is how the telegraph played an important role in keeping a large country together. What changed the course of our history was again a seemingly innocuous development that was attacked by Bakhtiar Khilji in 1193. I want your attention on this, it is very important. 1193, Bakhtiar Khilji attacks Nalanda University. There are 20,000 students, 2,000 teachers, 60 disciplines being taught. It is an 800-year-old university. It's burnt. Scholars are killed. For next 6 months, they don't have to go and fetch firewood to cook their rations. They use the books in the library. The argument is, Bakhtiar Khilji, इन किताबों में क्या है? मिनिस्टर से सब इनमें इल्म है, ज्ञान है, नॉलेज है. नॉलेज तो पूरा कुरान में है. अगर इनमें वही इल्म है जो कुरान में है, तो जब एक किताब से काम चलता है तो वाई हैव सो मेनी ऑफ देम. और अगर इनमें कुछ डिफरेंट है, वो तो कुफर है, ब्लास्फेमी है. So in either case, we don't need these books. And he didn't stop at Nalanda. He and his followers burnt universities called Udantapuri, Somapuri, Ratnagiri, Pushpagiri, Vallabhi. All these universities were burnt. And should I tell you something? That was the very time when these 800-year-old universities were being burnt here, that Europeans started building their own universities. You look at the history of Cambridge, Oxford, and so many of them. They started between that time only. So there the organized pursuit of knowledge started, and in this land it stopped. And for next 600-700 years, there were no universities in India at all. No universities at all. 1850, the East India Company opened Madras Presidency, Bombay Presidency and Calcutta Presidency, 3 universities. But these universities were opened not for knowledge, but to mentally colonize the Indians. They taught it in their own interest. And we continue with that knowledge almost even today. वो जाकर भी बाकी है यहीं, वो जाकर भी बाकी है यहीं, मैं यहीं का होकर भी यहाँ का नहीं. I said that we got our political freedom in 1947, but we didn't have an economic freedom because we were being exploited by aliens till 47. And then from there, our economy passed into the hands of an alien creed called socialism. And up to 1990, for 40 years, 4 decades, I don't see many people of my age group here. Raman sahab बैठे हैं. I think he is also younger to me. Many of you people will be shocked to know, not very long time back, दूध का टोकन बनता था यहाँ पर. दूध का टोकन बनता था। सीमेंट के लिए अगर 10 पैक सीमेंट चाहिए होता था तो वी हैड टू गो एंड स्टैंड इन ए क्यू। लाइन फॉर टेलीफोन कनेक्शन वाज मिनिमम 20 ईयर्स। बच्चा पैदा होता था तो लोग उसके नाम का टेलीफोन बुक कराते थे। बाय द टाइम ही बिकम्स ए अडल्ट ही विल गेट ए फोन कनेक्शन। स्कूटर के लिए लाइन लगती थी, स्टील के लिए लाइन लगती थी। मेरे दोस्त विजय क्रांति जी बैठे हैं, ये एक बार मैंने फ़ोन किया इनके यहाँ, 78-79 की बात हो गई, तो इनकी पत्नी ने बताया लैंडलाइन होता था कि वो तो गाजियाबाद गए हैं, नॉर्थ दिल्ली से गाजियाबाद। क्यों? वो सवेरे 4 बजे चले गए सर्दियों में। क्यों? क्योंकि स्टील का कोटा जो मकान के लिए तो मिलने वाला, अगर टाइम पे नहीं पहुंचेंगे तो मिलेगा ही नहीं। दैट इज व्हाट दिस फॉरेन एलियन क्रीड सोशलिज्म डिड टू अस। राज कृष्णा, very well famed economist, he was asked, sir, we have adopted socialism as a creed, but how come that we are in such dire strait? People have to stand in a queue to get 2 kg of sugar, half a liter of milk. And his reply was, gentlemen, ladies, I want you to listen to it carefully. His reply was, India is suffering a Hindu rate of growth. ये कार्ल मार्क्स ने 1853 में 3 आर्टिकल लिखे, saying that the basic cause of India's poverty is Hinduism because it believes in karma theory, in punarjanam, and therefore it is destined to remain poor. तो उसने कहा, राज कृष्णा ने, सोशलिज्म आ जाए, कोई इज्म आ जाए, you are destined to remain poor because you are Hindu and this is Hindu rate of growth. तो मैंने उनको पूछा, मैंने कहा बांग्लादेश की हालत तो हमसे भी ज़्यादा ख़राब है, आप उनसे क्यों नहीं कहते कि इस्लामिक रेट ऑफ ग्रोथ है? द चैप हैड नो रिप्लाई। तो इस पे एक शेर है, भाई इतने जख्म थे दिल पे की, भाई इतने जख्म थे दिल पे की, हकीम ने इलाज में मौत लिख दी। वो हकीम था, बट वी ऑल नो, हम भूल गए थे, वी हैड फॉरगॉटन दैट इंडिया वाज कॉल्ड सोने की चिड़िया। बट वी वर टोल्ड, ये तो सब कहानियां हैं, यू आर ऑलवेज वेरी पुअर। नाउ व्हाट हैपेंड, देयर वाज दिस जनरल एग्रीमेंट ऑन ट्रेड एंड टैरिफ, इट्स कॉल्ड गैट, इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। In 1983, they told an economist called Paul Bloch, please look into the growth of the world economy between 1750 and 1900. He was commissioned for that study by GATT, and his conclusion was, as late as in 1750, India with 24.5% and China with 33% had a combined share of 57.5% of the global GDP, and Britain was less than 1.8% and America was 0.1%. This was the state of the global economy in 1750. What was shocked? How come? They commissioned another study, and this was done by Organization for Economic Development and Cooperation, and they hired an economist called Angus Madison. You can all Google it, both the names, the Paul Bloch and also Angus Madison. In his study, World Economic History, a Millennium Perspective, Madison not only confirmed Baruch, but went on to say that India was the world economic leader for 17 centuries. For 17 centuries, from the beginning of the Common Era, with China which overtook India later as number 2. And when we were leading the world as economic power for 17th century, we were Hindus. इसी कल्चर से। अच्छा, but how this party was spoiled in the 40 years? I will give you 4 examples. Forbes is an international magazine. In 2019, they brought out an article. They said till 1985, China and India had the same per capita income of $293 per person. This is Forbes magazine 2019. 2017, China's GDP per capita had ballooned to 8,827 and India was way behind with 1,942. इतना बड़ा गैप कैसे हो गया? 5 times. So they gave example of 2 dams. One is the Three Gorges Dam in Hubei province of China, and another is this Narmada Sarovar, Sardar Sarovar Dam. Now here is a very interesting comparison between the 2 dams. The Chinese dam displaced 1.4 million people. 14 लाख लोगों को displace किया. Indian dam displaced only 2 lakh people. 1/7. 14 lakh, 2 lakh. Chinese dam displaced 2 cities. Indian dam didn't displace any city. Chinese dam displaced 114 towns. Indian dam did not displace any town. China displaced 1,680 villages. India displaced 178 villages. The height of the Chinese dam is 600 feet. Indian dam is 450-60. Installed capacity, power generation capacity, hydel capacity of Chinese dam is 22,500 and Indian dam is 1,450 megawatt. You know how much period Chinese dam took to complete? 15 years. How much? 15 years. How much time did the Indian dam take place? 56 years. 56 years. Pandit Nehru laid the foundation stone in 1961 and this was inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi in 2017. This is how the gap between India and China increased. You can't say कि भाई इंडिया ने इतना डिले तो सफ़र किया, 56 साल लगा दिए, चाइनीज 15 साल में कर गए. मेधा पाटकर को इंटरनेशनल रिकग्निशन मिली. She was and her team was facilitated at many of such meetings. She was given cash awards. She was supported by half a dozen international organizations. And then of course there was a filmmaker called Anand Patwardhan. He wrote a Narmada Diary documentary. It won Filmfare Award for the best documentary in 1996. डैम तो नहीं बना, डैम को रोकने वालों को अवार्ड मिलते गए. It got a grand prize at Earth Vision Film Festival. Then drowned out a 2002 documentary film about opposition to dam by Franny Armstrong was nominated for the best documentary in the BIFA runners-up San Francisco Film Festival. विकास रोकने के लिए मैं ये आंकड़े नहीं पढ़ूंगा. After this dam has got completed in 2017, the water which is becoming available is irrigating millions of hectares of land in 3 states, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. Thousands of villages and towns are getting drinking water for the first time. And friends, for 56 years, this precious water, Narmada water, was allowed to flow into Bay of Cambay when people were starving. And those who were stopping all this development work, they were being feted and acclaimed in the international forum. And Ron, आपको याद होगा, I'll put it very brief. The cabinet secretary was my friend. His name was S. Rajgopal, 92-93. He was the cabinet secretary. I went to him. I said, why are you pushing this project? He said, Balbir, you don't understand one thing. We cannot import power. And we don't have the capacity to create power. The best is we import gas, LNG, from Qatar in ships and manufacture power in Maharashtra and DABHOL. And you know what the catch was? the Maharashtra State Electricity Board had to pay 7 rupee and 80 paisa per unit to Enron, buy whatever all they produce and then sell it to consumer at 1 rupee and 89 paisa and make up the loss. Maharashtra would have been gone bankrupt, but fortunately before Maharashtra could go bankrupt, Enron, because of bad accounting practices and business practices in America, went bankrupt itself and we were saved. Then I recall an anecdote. 1995, CII, one session taking place where I am also invited, and the then Finance Secretary, Montek Singh Ahlawale, is there. Some of you might remember there used to be something called Bombay Club, which was there to protect the local industry. And informally we are meeting at a cup of coffee, and this local club, people try to talk to Montek. And you know what Montek tells him? Gentlemen, forget everything. You have no technology, you have no capital, you don't have the trained manpower, you will never be able to compete with the global players. Factory band karo, become their wholesalers in India, or start importing in CKT conditions whatever you think you can sell here, and this is going to happen, globalization everywhere, and we cannot compete. This was the Finance Secretary of India, and this was these are the colonized mind, you know. And then I remember COVID. आपको भी याद होगा, we were developing a vaccine. There were 3 chief ministers. उनके वीडियो यहाँ घूम रहे हैं WhatsApp के अंदर. They are cursing Modi. You are talking about developing your own vaccine. India can never develop a vaccine. Import from Pfizer. मिल रहा है. People lives are more valuable than your money. Accept whatever Pfizer is telling you. Import it. I am very happy, proud of the fact that the government didn't accept all this. They pursued manufacture of the indigenous factories, and our fight against COVID is a success story today. You know, we are not an ancient civilization. We are a living civilization. We live the values which have been laid down in our scriptures, in our literature, in our tradition. There are 5 mantras. Of course, one mantra, Om Bhur Bhava Swa Tasvitar Vareyam Bhargo Devasdi Mai Yojanam Prachodayat. This is Gayatri mantra. Gayatri mantra is from Rig Veda. Rig Veda is the oldest book of the world, and this is a living book because this mantra is pronounced and said, repeated by millions of Indians every day. These are the things which we not only what you can say, we practice in life, and we practice them through 4 rinas. One is the Matri Rin. Matri Rin means to rin to your own mom and to your mother earth also, and to nature also, and your ancestors also. Then there is a Pitru Rin, and there is a Kutumb Rin, and then there is a Samsara Rin, that is a rin to the society. In our families, old people are not deposited in old homes. We look after them because we may be aware of Pitri Rin and Matru Rin. We may or may not be aware of it, but in practice we do it. And if this concept of Matri and Pitri Rin was not there, imagine 10 crore people, 65 plus, will be standing outside the door of Narendra Modi and asking for money. भैया हमारा ख्याल करो. And you know, Forbes magazine की report है February 1, 2019, which said that in next 10 years, by 2029, USA federal government will be spending 50% of its budget on old homes. At the moment, in 2018, it was $1.5 trillion, 40% of the budget. And in 2029, it will go up to 50% of the budget. हमारे यहाँ अगर ये value system नहीं हो, can any government, whether by Narendra Modi or by somebody else, can it look after so many people the way we look after? And if we did not believe in this system, you know, in India, the divorce rate is less than 1%. It is less than 1%. In America, first marriage fails in 41% of the cases, second marriage in 60% of the cases, Spain 65%, France 55%, Russia 51%. And India, it is less than 1% because of these values which are ingrained in us. आप में से कोई कभी कोई सत्संग वगैरह होता, कोई जाते हैं क्या? ये जाते होंगे, उमा जी बैठी हैं, जाती हैं, शशि जी बैठी, ये भी जाती होंगी। वहाँ पे 4 नारे लगते हैं उसके बाद। नॉर्थ इंडिया में कहीं भी सत्संग होता है, नारे क्या है? धर्म की, देखिए कितने लोगों ने कहा, धर्म की, अधर्म का, विश्व का, प्राणियों में सद्भाव हो। हजारों साल से कह रहे हैं, हजारों साल से, थाउजेंड्स ऑफ ईयर्स। यूएन ने पिछले 50, 60, 70 साल में इन वैल्यूज को नोटिस किया और कोडिफाई किया है। और जब आप धर्म की जय कहते हैं ना, तो धर्म की जय का मतलब ये नहीं होता कि मंदिर में जाके घंटी बजाओ। धर्म का अर्थ है टू डू द राइट थिंग। टीचर का धर्म क्या है? पढ़ाना। पुलिस वाले का धर्म क्या है? लॉ की रक्षा करना। और हमारे कुछ मित्र हैं, उनको ये बात समझ में नहीं आती, तो उन्होंने कहा भाई धर्म का मतलब तो धर्म कर्म तो यही होता है, ये मंदिर गुरुद्वारे में जाके मत्था टेकना। तो एक बार हमारे साथ गए थे एक प्रोग्राम में, तो स्टेशन पे उतरे हम लोग, तो सामने था अग्रवाल धर्म काटा। तो मैंने कहा इसका अंग्रेजी में ट्रांसलेशन करो, तो बड़ा सोच के बोले रिलीजियस स्केल। आगे लिखा था ओसवाल धर्मशाला। तो मैंने कहा इसका ट्रांसलेशन करो, तो कहा इसका ट्रांसलेशन तो भी रिलीजियस होटल होगा। फिर आगे था शर्मा धर्मार्थ औषधालय। तो मैंने कहा इसका ट्रांसलेशन करो, तो कहा कि शर्मा रिलीजियस हॉस्पिटल। तो जिसके घर गए थे तो उन्होंने इंट्रोड्यूस किया कि मेरी धर्मपत्नी से मिलिए। मैंने कहा इसका ट्रांसलेशन करो। तो ये, पर देखिए ये सब बातें जो है ना, ये हम लोग इंटरनलाइज करते हैं। मैं असंख्य परिवारों को जानता हूँ, पिताजी का देहांत हो गया, चले गए, बड़े भाई जब बड़ी बहन ने खुद शादी नहीं की, 4-4, 5-5 भाई बहनों को पाल करके उनको एस्टेब्लिश किया। पर हम तो एक बात और भी पूछते हैं कई बार लोग, भाई आप लोग बड़े बहादुर थे, आप लोग एक साथ बहुधा वेदंती में इतने अच्छी वैल्यूज में विश्वास करते थे, तो आप 800 साल तक गुलाम क्यों रहे? आप 800 साल तक गुलाम क्यों रहे जबकि आपके अंदर इतने गुण थे? तो मैं उनको एक चुटकुला बताकर ये बात समझाने की कोशिश करता हूँ। भाई ये वैल्यूज़ को हम तो जानते थे, इंटरनलाइज किया था हमने। ऐसा हुआ कि 2 दोस्त जू देखने गए और उसमें से एक दोस्त ने नया पिताजी ने महंगा कैमरा लेके दिया था और उनकी टांग टूट गई थी, चोट लग गई थोड़ी। अब वो जू देखने गए, शेर को देख के बड़े एक्साइट हुए। तो जिनकी टांग टूटी थी, कैमरा पिताजी ने नया महंगा लेके दिया था, तो वो ऊपर रेलिंग पे खड़े होके शेर के साथ क्लोजअप फोटो खींच रहे थे। कैमरा गिर गया शेर के पिंजरे में। अब कैमरा तो निकालना था, पिताजी बहुत डांटेंगे, मारेंगे घर पर, तो खुद तो जा नहीं सकते थे, टांग में चोट लगी थी। तो दोस्त से कहा यार तू कैमरा निकाल दे वहाँ से जाके। कहता पागल है क्या, तेरे कैमरे के चक्कर में और शेर मेरे को खा जाएगा। कहता यार तू भी कैसी बात करता है, परसों का टाइम तो इंडिया नहीं पड़ा क्या? पहले पेज पे था कि अगर आप शेर को कुछ नहीं कहो तो आपको कुछ नहीं कहता, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, तू कुछ जा। कहता बेवकूफ़, तूने तो टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया पढ़ा है पर शेर ने भी पढ़ा है क्या? तो हमको तो ये वैल्यूज़ मालूम थी पर जो हमारे पे नज़र गड़ा के बैठे थे उनको इस वैल्यूज़ के बारे में मालूम नहीं था. As I said, I got my freedom in 3 phases. 47, I got my political freedom. Then of course in 1991, I got my economic freedom, and of late I have got my mental freedom also, decolonized mind. Now we were talking about the era of shortages when there were queues for sugar, milk, cement, steel, and it culminated in the ultimate humiliation of India in 1991. Many of you people not remember, we were left with foreign exchange to finance even not 2 weeks of imports. There was an emergency situation. We have to pledge our gold stocks. 47 tons of gold were pledged with the Bank of England and with Bank of Japan. And from there, where we have reached, we know it. Now at that time in 1991, we didn't have foreign exchange even to pay for 2 weeks of imports. We had to pledge our gold. Recently you would have seen proud pictures of Prime Minister Modi, Biden and the French President when we signed a deal for the aircraft. We are going to import 540 Boeing and Airbus, and the price is 82 billion US dollars. Pakistan's total annual budget is 31 billion US dollars. Look at the comparison. And this is just one industry. And today, India is the 5th largest economy by GDP and is poised to overtake Germany to become the 4th largest economy by the end of the year or early next year. Independent India GDP is currently estimated at $3.5 trillion. It took 67 years to reach the first trillion and 8 years to reach the second trillion, and we added a third trillion to the GDP in the just last 5 years. This is a big picture. But हम लोग कई बार डिस्टर्ब हो जाते हैं क्योंकि बीच बीच में ऐसी खबरें छपती रहती हैं, and they are normally published on page 1, given and highlighted on television repeatedly. For example, India in happiness index in 126th in the World Happiness Report for 2023, way behind Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal also. Women Safety Index, worst possible in the world. You know, even Afghanistan is better than us, Syria is better than us, Somalia is better than us, Saudi Arabia is better than us. Then Global Hunger Index, even Pakistan is doing better than us, Sri Lanka is better than us, Nepal is better than us. In सब के पीछे एक secret है, I find out, and if you go to their website you can also find out. How do they realize कि हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स जो है वो इंडिया में लोएस्ट है? कैसे पता किया? Sample size is 1000 conducted on telephone. In a country of 140 crores, they have a sample size of 1000, and they contact them, and this is how they reach the conclusion. Similarly, Women Safety Index, they contacted 548 people on phone to come to conclusion that India is the worst country in the world. And similar is the Global Hunger Index. And there is an organization called the British Oxfam. ये जाते रहते हमारे प्रकाश गुरानी जी डावोस में. जब ये जाते हैं तो उससे पहले हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया वगैरह में पेज 1 पे 4, 6, 8 कॉलम में खबर छपती है कि डिस्पैरिटी इज इंक्रीजिंग इन इंडिया, रिच आर बिकमिंग रिचर एंड पुअर आर बिकमिंग पुअर. ये ऑक्सफैम क्या है? व्हाट इज दिस ऑक्सफैम? It is an arm of the British government, financed by the British Parliament, and there is a continuous inquiry going against Oxfam because they have been accused and found guilty of giving money which was meant for famine-stricken people and buying sex in exchange. And these are the people who are, what you can say, giving us certificate. You know, there was a factory, one big huge plant, and there was a man in the evening, he will be taking a wheelbarrow with a small box in it. The security man stopped. What is there in this bloody box? Opened it. It was sawdust. Chura hota na? Why? I'm doing some experiment at home. Next day the same story, third day the same story, fourth day the fourth story, fifth day again he opened the box. There are 3-4 spoonfuls of sawdust and nothing else. This guard became really restless. He took him to the search room, stripped him. Nothing was found. He said, my friend, I know for sure you are stealing something, but I don't know what. I will not take any action against you. Otherwise, I will not be able to sleep. Please tell me what you are stealing. He looked straight at his face. He said, wheelbarrows. The guard was always focused on that small thing. So we should not be focused on small things. They should not distract us. We should always be looking at the large picture. Last two lines, जो पूरा ना हो उसे अरमान कहते हैं. जो पूरा ना हो, जो ना बदले उसे ईमान कहते हैं. जो पूरा ना हो उसे अरमान कहते हैं, जो ना बदले उसे ईमान कहते हैं. गिरकर उठे झुके नहीं उसे मेरा हिंदुस्तान कहते हैं. जय भारत. थैंक यू.